Spring flowers. There's fields and fields of them. Look at this. And right in front of the cabin up there in the pond. It's pretty. As we discussed last week, and you saw the soil test of this piece of ground here, it's virtually nothing but clay. The soil test didn't show any other material in there, even in the minorest content. Now that test did not show what trace minerals would be in here. That's not a sophisticated enough test, and you have to send soil samples out for that kind of thing. But basically it gave us an idea that we were working with virtually pure clay. So I got a trailer load, a couple of buckets from a big John Deere tractor of 3-year-old horse manure. Now the beauty of this is it's essentially compost already. I'm also going to be using it in my compost pile, but it's actually quite ready to use. And as you can see, it pretty much looks like just plain soil already. You can still see a little bit of the straw and so on in there in the bedding, but it's just super small. What we have here are, well, those are two, they're not doing so good. Those are two pepper plants, but the potatoes, now look at these things. I planted these potatoes in here 3 weeks ago. I dug a trench, I'll show you that, and planted the potatoes, covered them over about 3 inches. Within a few days, the 3 inches I covered them with, by the way, was mostly that manure. Within a few days, they were up and growing, so I came back and hilled them up, I guess about the first weekend, and they obviously continued to grow. So I hilled them up a second time about 4 days ago, and when I do that, I just leave the top maybe 2 inches of the leaves sticking out, just enough that they can get touched by the sunlight. And here we are, well, it's the morning of the 4th day, and look at this. They're going crazy. And the reason is they're getting a lot of nutrients from that manure. The other reason is that I've been making compost tea. Now this is a bucket that I have an old pillowcase in, and what I did is I put 1 shovel load, nothing great, just a little bit of that horse manure in there. I put it in the bucket and I filled the bucket right to the brim with buckets of water from the pond. And what I do is I just take a bucket and I go along and I drizzle it around the potatoes. That's horseradish there, the chives. Over on the far side here, we have lovage. It's growing good. These peas here, which I'm still not having pea sticks for, darn it. Look at them. These things are going nuts. Now these are those very, very rare peas from the 1700s. And look at how well they're growing. I'm going to get a good batch of seeds from those to replace the ones that I've got that are a little bit older. Here's some tomatoes. I only planted any of this stuff. Look at this. Here we go. Look at this guy. He's already got a little tomato on him. That's cool. And certainly some buds and flowers coming out. So that's all off to a good start. I only planted this, as I was saying, as a demonstration. I knew I wasn't going to get much of a crop, or I didn't expect much of a crop, but this is what's happening just from putting compost in there and compost tea. Nothing else. I haven't put any fertilizers of any kind in there. So that just shows you the power of what you can do with compost. So this is just an introduction to amending your garden soil. There's a lot more than just compost that needs to be done here. There are all kinds of trace elements that are required. If your soil doesn't have all of the nutrients and elements that the plants need, then the food that they produce won't have those nutritious elements either. So what you need to do is do your soil test, But here we can see that even with the most depleted soil, we're getting a huge benefit just from the compost alone. It's been unseasonably hot here. It's been up to 106 for a few days, and in the high 90s for the most part. So this is a short video. It's just been too much to do. Thanks for joining me. Next week we're going to go into actually more of what we can do with making compost and its uses. Thanks.